For the devoted hobby sewist, mastering the basics is a moment of pure triumph. You can confidently thread your machine, stitch a straight seam, and create simple garments that bring you joy. Yet, beyond these fundamentals lies a world of artistry and precision that can elevate your creations from merely homemade to beautifully handcrafted. Learning advanced sewing techniques is not just about tackling more complex projects. It is about imbuing your work with a level of quality, fit, and durability that rivals high-end fashion. It is the key to unlocking your full creative potential, allowing you to shape fabric in ways you had only imagined and build garments that are truly a testament to your skill and passion for the craft. This journey into advanced methods opens the door to couture, a realm where every stitch has a purpose and every detail is considered. It is about understanding the very structure of a garment, learning how to give it shape and support from the inside out. Techniques like hand finishing, pad stitching, and tailoring are not just for professional designers. They are accessible skills that any dedicated sewist can learn. By embracing these practices, you gain the power to create clothing that is not only visually stunning, but also feels wonderful to wear, fitting your body perfectly and lasting for years to come. This is the difference between simply sewing fabric together and truly sculpting a piece of wearable art. Embarking on this path requires patience and a willingness to slow down. Advanced sewing is often the polar opposite of fast fashion. It is a mindful process that celebrates craftsmanship over speed. You will spend more time on preparation, on pressing, and on hand stitching than you ever thought possible, but the results will be profoundly rewarding. Each new skill you acquire, from sewing a delicate French seam on chiffon to setting a perfectly tailored sleeve, adds another tool to your creative arsenal. It empowers you to look at a pattern not as a rigid set of instructions, but as a starting point for your own interpretation and refinement. Ultimately, delving into these techniques is an act of self-investment for the hobbyist. It transforms sewing from a simple pastime into a sophisticated art form. You will learn to see fabric not just as a flat piece of cloth, but as a medium with its own unique properties to be respected and manipulated. You will appreciate the architecture of a well-made jacket, the delicate fall of a bias-cut skirt, and the hidden structural work that creates a flawless silhouette. This guide will walk you through these advanced methods in a simple, step-by-step manner, demystifying the world of high-end sewing and inviting you to create garments of exceptional beauty and quality. Quote, "Couture sewing is defined by its internal structure and exquisite finishing, much of which is accomplished by hand. Hand finishing is the practice of using a needle and thread to complete seams, hems, and facings in a way that is often invisible from the outside. A classic example is the blind hem stitch, which catches only a single thread of the garment fabric, creating a clean edge without any visible machine stitching. This technique provides a soft, flexible finish that machine stitching cannot replicate. Learning to attach linings, zippers, and hooks and eyes by hand also gives you unparalleled control, resulting in a garment that looks just as beautiful on the inside as it does on the outside. Pad stitching is a fundamental couture technique used to build shape into garment pieces, particularly lapels and collars on tailored jackets. This is done by sewing a series of small diagonal stitches by hand, securing the garment fabric to an underlying layer of interfacing, such as hair canvas. To begin, you hold the fabric over your hand, gently rolling it into the shape you wish to create. Then, using a needle and thread, you make small stitches that run back and forth, catching the interfacing and just a whisper of the main fabric. This process permanently molds the two layers together, creating a beautiful, gentle roll that cannot be achieved with fusible interfacings alone. Underlining is another secret to a high-quality garment, providing support and body without adding bulk. It involves cutting a second layer of fabric, typically a lightweight material like silk organza or cotton batiste, from the same pattern pieces as your main fabric. These two layers are then treated as one throughout the construction process. You begin by hand basting the underlining to the wrong side of each fashion fabric piece before you start sewing the seams. The underlining prevents the main fabric from stretching or distorting, conceals the inner workings of the garment like darts and seam allowances, and provides a stable foundation for attaching other structural elements. These three techniques form a powerful trio that will fundamentally change the way you construct clothes. They require a slower, more deliberate approach to sewing, but the payoff is immense. A hand-finished hem drapes more beautifully, a pad-stitched collar holds its shape with an elegant curve, an underlined dress hangs smoothly, resisting wrinkles and showcasing the fabric to its best advantage. By integrating these methods into your practice, you are not just following steps. You are learning the language of couture and beginning to build garments with the integrity, structure, and refined finish that define true craftsmanship. Sewing on the bias is a technique that can transform a simple silhouette into something fluid and graceful. The bias refers to the 45-degree angle across the grain of a woven fabric. Unlike the straight grain, which is the warp, or the cross grain, which is the weft, and both are stable, the bias has a natural stretch and flexibility. When you cut fabric on the bias, it allows the material to drape and cling to the body in a way that is famously flattering. This is the secret behind those slinky slip dresses of the 1930s and elegant cowl necklines. To find the bias, simply fold your fabric diagonally so the straight grain aligns with the cross grain, creating a perfect 45-degree fold. When you begin working with bias-cut pieces, you must handle them with extreme care. The inherent stretch that makes them drape so beautifully also makes them prone to stretching out of shape. Always support the full weight of the fabric when moving it, and never let pieces hang off the edge of your cutting table. It is often recommended to let your bias-cut garment hang on a dress form or hanger for at least 24 hours before hemming. This allows the fabric to settle and stretch naturally, so you can even out the hemline for a perfect finish. Stay-stitching necklines and armholes is also crucial to prevent them from distorting during construction. Draping is the art of creating a garment pattern directly on a three-dimensional dress form rather than drafting it on flat paper. This is a wonderfully intuitive and creative process that allows you to see how the fabric will behave and fall in real time. To begin, you pin a piece of fabric onto the dress form, molding, pleating, and smoothing it until you achieve your desired design. You then mark your style lines, darts, and seam lines directly onto the fabric with a pencil or chalk. Once you are satisfied with the design, you unpin the fabric, lay it flat, and true up your markings to create the final pattern pieces. Draping and bias cutting often go hand in hand. The dress form is the perfect tool for experimenting with the fluid nature of bias-cut fabric, allowing you to sculpt elegant cowls, twists, and flowing shapes that would be difficult to engineer through flat pattern making. For the hobbyist, draping can be a liberating way to design. It frees you from the constraints of commercial patterns and connects you more deeply to the material itself. You do not need a complex design in mind to start. Simply playing with how a piece of fabric wraps around the form can spark incredible ideas, leading to truly unique and personal creations. Boning and corsetry are honestly the ultimate tools for sculpting the human form, creating structure, and providing support in fitted garments like strapless gowns, bodices, and historical costumes. Boning consists of rigid or semi-rigid strips, traditionally made from whalebone, but now commonly made from plastic or steel, that are inserted into channels within a garment. These bones help the garment maintain its shape, prevent it from wrinkling or collapsing at the waist, and support the bust. For most projects, plastic boning is lightweight and easy to work with, while steel boning offers superior strength and is essential for true corsetry and tight lacing. To add boning to a bodice, you first need to create channels to hold the bones in place. These channels can be made by sewing casings from fabric strips onto the lining, or by stitching directly through the seam allowances of a lined bodice. It is crucial to position the channels along seams and darts where structure is most needed. Cut each bone slightly shorter than its channel to prevent it from poking through the fabric at the top and bottom edges. After cutting, be sure to smooth the ends of the plastic or steel bones with a file or by dipping them in a special coating to ensure they do not tear the fabric over time. True corsetry takes this concept to a more advanced level, involving multiple layers of strong, non-stretch fabric, such as couture, and a series of steel bones strategically placed to cinch the waist and shape the torso. Constructing a corset is a precise process that begins with a very accurate pattern. The layers of fabric are carefully stitched together to create the boning channels, and a waist tape, a strong, non-stretch ribbon, is often stitched into the waistline internally to provide reinforcement and prevent the corset from stretching under strain. The back is finished with grommets for lacing, which allows the wearer to tighten the corset to their desired fit. For the hobby sewist interested in formal wear or historical fashion, learning basic boning techniques is an invaluable skill. It can transform a simple strapless dress from something that requires constant adjusting into a secure and comfortable garment. Starting with a simple bodice and adding a few pieces of plastic boning is a great way to practice. As you gain confidence, you can explore the more complex world of corsetry. The ability to build this level of structure opens up a whole new realm of design possibilities, allowing you to create garments with dramatic silhouettes and a flawless sculpted fit. Tailoring is the art of constructing structured garments like suits, jackets, and coats with precision and impeccable shaping. The key to a great tailored garment lies in its internal structure, often referred to as the canvas. In traditional tailoring, a chest piece made of hair canvas is hand-sewn into the front of the jacket. This canvas provides shape and support to the chest and lapel area, ensuring the jacket hangs correctly and maintains its form over time. The lapel is pad-stitched to the canvas, as previously described, to give it that signature gentle roll that is the hallmark of high-quality tailoring. A perfectly set-in sleeve is another crucial element of a tailored jacket. Unlike a simple sleeve on a t-shirt, a tailored sleeve has a higher cap and requires easing into the armhole. This extra fabric in the sleeve cap creates a smooth, rounded shape over the shoulder without any puckering. This is achieved by gathering stitches along the top of the sleeve cap and gently pulling them to fit the armhole. A sleeve head, which is a small pad of wool or batting, is often inserted at the shoulder to support the sleeve cap and perfect the silhouette, preventing it from collapsing. Pressing is not just an afterthought in tailoring, it is a fundamental construction step. A tailor uses a hot iron, steam, and a variety of pressing tools, like a tailor's ham and sleeve roll, to mold and shape the fabric. For example, a tailor's ham, which is a firmly stuffed cushion, is used to press curved areas like darts and collars, helping to shape the fabric into a three-dimensional form. Careful pressing at every stage is non-negotiable. It sets the seams, refines the shape, and ensures the finished garment has a crisp, professional appearance that simply cannot be achieved otherwise. For the hobbyist looking to tackle their first jacket, it is wise to start with a pattern that has clear, detailed instructions and to choose a stable fabric like wool flannel. Take your time with the interfacing and pressing steps, as this is where the magic truly happens. While traditional hand tailoring techniques are the gold standard, modern methods using fusible interfacings can also yield excellent results. By focusing on these key areas, the internal structure, the sleeve insertion, and meticulous pressing, you can begin your journey into tailoring and create timeless pieces that you will be proud to wear for years. Working with specialty fabrics like leather, lace, and chiffon can be intimidating, but with the right techniques, they can be managed beautifully. Leather and suede require special tools, as pins will leave permanent holes. Use clips or tape to hold seams together and a special leather needle on your machine, which has a wedge-shaped point designed to pierce the material cleanly. A Teflon or roller foot can also help the fabric feed smoothly through the machine. For chiffon, a very fine sharp needle, size 60/8 or 70/10, is essential to avoid snagging the delicate weave. French seams are ideal for chiffon as they encase the raw edges, creating a neat and durable finish on the sheer fabric. Lace requires a different approach altogether, as the goal is often to make the seams disappear into the pattern of the fabric. One beautiful technique is to overlap two pieces of lace, aligning the motifs. Then, using a small, wide zigzag stitch, you carefully stitch along the edge of the motifs on the top layer. Once secure, you can trim away the excess lace from behind, creating a nearly invisible seam. When working with beaded or sequined fabrics, you must remove the embellishments from the seam allowance before sewing to avoid breaking your needle. After the seam is sewn, you can hand-stitch some of the beads or sequins back over the seam line to create a continuous decorative surface. Embellishment is the art of adding decorative details to a fabric's surface, and it is a wonderful way to personalize a garment. Beading can range from scattering a few seed beads for a subtle shimmer to creating intricate, dense patterns. To begin, use a strong thread like Nymo and a fine beading needle. You can stitch on beads one by one, or use a technique where you thread several beads at once and then tack the thread down between every few beads. Embroidery, whether by hand or machine, offers limitless possibilities for adding color and texture, from simple running stitches to complex satin-stitched motifs. Applique is another popular embellishment technique where shapes cut from one fabric are applied to the surface of another. The edges of the applique can be finished in several ways, turned under and hand-stitched for a clean look, stitched down with a machine satin stitch for a bold outline, or left raw for a more rustic effect. When planning your embellishments, consider the weight and drape of your base fabric. Heavy beading would overwhelm a delicate chiffon, but would be perfectly suited to a structured velvet or satin. Mastering these techniques allows you to move beyond the pattern and use your garment as a canvas for true artistic expression. Sewing with stretch fabrics and knitwear is a skill every modern sewist should possess, given the comfort and popularity of these materials. The most important rule when working with knits is to use a stitch that stretches with the fabric. Most sewing machines have a special stretch stitch, which often looks like a small lightning bolt, or a narrow zigzag stitch. Using a standard straight stitch will cause the threads to pop as soon as the fabric is stretched. Additionally, it is crucial to use the correct type of needle. A ballpoint or stretch needle has a rounded tip that pushes the knit fibers aside rather than piercing and breaking them, which prevents holes and runs in the fabric. When finishing seams on knitwear, an overlocker or serger is the ideal tool as it trims, stitches and finishes the edge in one go, creating a professional and durable seam that stretches. However, you can achieve excellent results with a standard sewing machine. A zigzag stitch or an overcasting stitch can be used to finish the raw edges and prevent curling, a common issue with knit fabrics. For hems, a twin needle is a fantastic tool. It creates two parallel rows of stitching on the top side and a zigzag stitch on the underside, resulting in a stretchy hem that mimics the look of a cover-stitch machine finish. In recent years, sustainability has become an important consideration in the sewing community, leading to the rise of zero-waste and low-waste sewing practices. Zero-waste pattern cutting is a creative challenge that involves arranging pattern pieces on the fabric like a puzzle, ensuring that every single scrap of cloth is used within the garment. This might mean incorporating geometric shapes, adding extra design elements like pockets or gussets, or using fabric offcuts to create facings or bindings. This approach encourages innovative design and minimizes textile waste, which is a significant environmental issue in the fashion industry. Another aspect of sustainable sewing is mindfully using the resources you already have. This includes mending and altering existing clothes to extend their lifespan, a practice that is both economical and environmentally friendly. You can also upcycle old garments or textiles, such as turning old jeans into a bag or a worn-out wool blanket into a chic coat. When you do purchase new fabric, consider choosing sustainable materials like organic cotton, linen, hemp, or tencel. By combining advanced technical skills with a conscious approach to materials, the modern hobby sewist can create beautiful, long-lasting garments that are not only a joy to wear, but also kind to our planet.